Hello, gamers. Welcome back. I am here with the incomparable Nerd Squared, who is going to be showing us Silent Hill 2 New Game Plus. Nerd, tell us more about this game.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, Babs. I am Nerd Squared. I did the Balatro run the other day. I mainly run horror games, and we'll be sticking with that today. I'll be doing the Silent Hill 2 remake, of course, remake of a legendary horror game. I'll be doing New Game Plus Unrestricted. New Game Plus just means I'll be able to one-shot the bosses for the most part with a certain weapon I'll be picking up early on. And it's unrestricted, which means we'll be doing some pretty crazy glitching, I'll put it that way. And gonna do light for combat, and then hard for puzzles. Puzzle difficulty doesn't really make a difference. Hard is just what I'm used to. And yeah, I think we can get right into it because the start is pretty chill. So we'll go ahead and start. Time doesn't start yet, by the way. It skips, or starts when we skip this opening cutscene. Oh, and also I have some mods in play. We normally don't allow this for runs, but I decided to do that anyway for this run. James basically will have a new coat of paint, we'll say. Alright, so time starts when I skip this cutscene, so start. So, James looks a bit different. I've put in a mod that makes James in this look like the James from the original Silent Hill 2. From all the way back in 2001, so it's as if he never left all those years ago.
A new coat of paint or an old coat of paint?
Well, same difference. But yeah, this remake is interesting because, to give a bit of context for how this game even came to be, back in 2022, so quite a while ago, Konami, who of course are the original developers of the series, they decided to revive Silent Hill with a slew of games, with Silent Hill 2 Remake being one of them. And we had our doubts as horror fans going into this game's release because it was developed by Bloober Team, not Konami. And if you know Bloober Team at all, you know they have a history, or a bad track record, I should say, of releasing mediocre horror games, although some of them are pretty good. Observer being my personal favorite, if you've ever played or heard of that. So we thought going into this game's release that wasn't going to be very good, and it blew all of our expectations out of the water. This game is amazing. Honestly, probably my Game of the Year contender for last year. It's that good. Really, as a horror game ever gets to that spot, but this game took the cake. Yeah, I'll be taking a quick jog through the streets. The intro is pretty slow, because we don't get to do many glitching, or mini glitches for a little bit. We just have to go through the streets, and there's not much sequence breaking we can do. Although, we're going to pick up that weapon that I was alluding to before. If you've ever played the OG Silent Hill 2, you most likely recognize this weapon. It's going to be the chainsaw. There you go, you can hear it revving in the background. I'll go ahead and pick that up. Right here. Get used to this revving up noise, by the way, because you're going to hear it a lot throughout the rest of the run. But yeah, the chainsaw is easily the most powerful weapon in the game. It one-shots most enemies, and in cases where it doesn't, it kills them it kills enemies or even bosses in very few hits. So that's going to be our main weapon over the course of the run.
Chad, I've got a challenge for you.
Yeah.
When you're putting in your donation, I want you to make me make chainsaw noises.
Oh God.
Hello?
Alright, well, challenge accepted.
Anyone in here?
Alright, so while we're just running through the streets here, I should probably explain what what the main glitch of this run is, because obviously it's unrestricted. There's going to be some crazy stuff happening. So this game, much to our chagrin as speedrunners and even just people playing it casually, it was made on Unreal Engine, specifically Unreal Engine 5. And Unreal Engine has an interesting quirk where the speed at which things load is dependent on the frame rate of the game. You can probably see a small frame rate counter in the top left. Right now it's at 120, which is kind of the cap we've set for speedruns as part of the leaderboard rules. We're basically going to try to cap the frame rate really, really low. And by really low, 2 FPS. That is not a joke. Because in addition to the speed at which things load being dependent on the frame rate, the game also only loads the map you're on in chunks at a time, just to help with performance. But we can take advantage of that by waiting for an area to deload. So there will be a bit of waiting when we get to that. And then once the area is deloaded enough, we're gonna move to where we want to go at a low frame rate so that the game doesn't load in fast enough and skip right past huge portions of the game. Right now, though, we just have to go through the streets like we were doing before. Go ahead and pick up the map. Don't need a map where we're going, but the game forces us to pick the map up, and that'll happen once more later in the run, too. Modern virtual highlight, pretty much. Like, when we get to it, you'll see how choppy the game looks, and we basically have to, like, plan our inputs out a half second or so in advance. Because with the frame rate being so low, our inputs are going to be very delayed, which makes the out of bounds actually pretty hard to do, but we'll manage.
Hey.
So we'll go over here and get the plank. In some previous routes of the game, for this run, Unrestricted, we would end up skipping the plank. But for our purposes, we have to go and get it, because the new and current route doesn't allow us to skip it. Because doing the other skip would void us out of being able to do this skip that we're about to do. And yes, the game will look like a PowerPoint once we start skipping, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So we'll pick up the radio and the plank. Dodge past this first enemy. Enemies in this game are going to be a real pain in our side throughout the run, because unlike in the original game where they're actually pretty passive, even on light mode, which is what I'm playing on and is the easiest difficulty, they hurt a lot. And they're also a lot more aggressive. So there's going to be plenty of points throughout the run where I'll have to dodge out of the way pretty frantically in order to avoid getting hurt by them. And sometimes you'll even see me dodge out of the way even when it looks like there's not an enemy physically on the screen. That's because they can attack you from off screen too if you're not careful. So, especially at a point later in the run during the prison area, it's a very much a situational awareness kind of run. Especially when you do, or play on some of the harder difficulties, like hard mode. And on New Game as well, where you don't rely on these overpowered weapons. So I'm going to go in here and get the first part of the dog key. This is New Game Plus. And what's fast about New Game Plus is we get access to a couple of extra endings that allow us to skip having to go through the Otherworld hotel section at the end of the game. And the faster of the two for speedruns is the dog ending. So that's the ending we'll be going for. And to access the dog ending, we have to get 2 parts for a dog key. And that's the first part right there. So we're about to do our first real skip of the run. At this part of the run, after getting the plank, you'd have to do a long series of puzzles to get a key to go past a locked door in the Neely's bar. That's just across the street right there. But we're going to pause and let the game deload, because I mentioned before how this game only loads chunks of the game at a time, and deloads the rest that it doesn't need. Well, we have to wait a second for that to take effect, and I'm waiting in the pause screen right here because we time runs by load removed time, and the time for that stops when you're in a load and when you're in the pause menu like this. So generally, if we're doing unrestricted, we pause right here while we wait for things to deload. Alright, brace yourselves, because we're going to go to 2 FPS here. Now the level is deloaded enough, I'm going to run forward at 2 FPS. It's as hard to control as it may look, because, again, the game is so unresponsive when the frame rate is this low that we have to plan out our inputs in advance. So we want to try to get into the bar right here. There we go. We want to try to get to that empty door frame over there. That's where the door is that will lead us out of the bar. Once we get there, we'll go back to normal FPS, and we're out of the bar. Don't have to get the key for that locked door. That's is going to be the main kind of glitch check in this run. That's kind of the bread and butter for the skips that we do in Unrestricted. So we've seen that quite a bit as we go through the game. Grab this key right here. That'll let us get to the apartments.
Since we're past that skip, do we have a moment for a quick donation?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. I have a $25 donation from Mr. Game and Shout, who says, "What's with all the fog on the screen? Did Legend of Legaia get added to the schedule?" Also,
What have you guys done? You should just do chainsaw noises whenever I bring up the chainsaw during boss fights.
I mean, I can save the chainsaw noise donations for those boss fights if you'd prefer.
Yeah, it's fine. We can do them whenever. Alright, so we're going to use the key here to get into the apartments. When I get up the stairs here, I'm going to go into my equipment and re-equip the chainsaw. Because whenever you get a new melee weapon, like the plank that we got earlier, it equips that new weapon as your default.
Hello?
So there's a couple of points where I'll have to go back into the menu and re-equip the chainsaw. It can't be a Silent Hill game without a flashlight, so I'll go ahead and grab that real quick. Mannequin appears right there, so we're going to take it down with a chainsaw. And the apartments are honestly pretty confusing to navigate. If you got completely stuck here, like I did in your first playthrough, I don't blame you. Because even in speedruns, when we were first routing this back when the game came out, it took a lot of trial and error to figure out a best route through here. But the idea with the apartments, similar to the original, is we were going to grab 3 coins that we're going to put into a machine where we do a quick puzzle. That puzzle will grant us a key to get into an apartment on the 2nd floor. That'll let us get to the otherworld version of the apartments, because while this game stays pretty faithful in terms of like the overall story beats to the original, there are a few changes they made to the game, obviously. And the apartments is one of them, because in the apartments, also, here's Laura in a cutscene we're going to skip. In the original, you just kind of stay in the normal apartments most of the time, up until the boss fight with Pyramid Head at the end. But with this, they add an entire otherworld version of the apartments that we'll get to play through later. There's a lot of really neat changes like that they did throughout the game. Like we kind of alluded to at the start with mod jokes, fresh coat of paint, but they stay faithful to the original game at the same time, which I think is pretty cool. Moving with the chainsaw is kind of annoying, though, because if you stay idle for too long with the chainsaw out, James does this really slow animation that you can't break yourself out of unless you have a handgun, or a weapon, or a ranged weapon, rather. And while you're doing that animation, obviously you can't interact with stuff, so you want to try to avoid that when you can. Anyways, I just grabbed the golden apple. We'll need that for a puzzle later, and I got a key that'll let me access the other half of the 2nd floor here. And also, when I was going up the stairs, up and down the stairs there, you might have seen me dodging. Whenever you're going up or down stairs, it's just a little faster to do a dodge to get up them a bit quicker. You don't do that in all cases, because it only really is useful if the stairs are high enough. If it's like a really short flight of stairs, then we'll just run up it as usual instead of doing a dodge. Alright, so we'll go in here. We get our first real weapon of the game, the pistol. There's supposed to be a scare right here. We'll do a quick dodge to get through that. Otherwise, James would kind of stumble in place looking all scared. And when I pick that item up, you might have seen me aiming my pistol. Whenever you pick up a key item, like that key for room 212, James does a quick animation after inspecting it, where he puts the item he just grabbed in his coat pocket. But if you aim, it gets you out of the animation, so we'll be doing that a lot throughout the run. Have to dodge right there, otherwise that enemy will grab me. Alright. Alright, we'll push this open to reveal a secret area. I'll do a quick safe combination puzzle here. This puzzle is different on every difficulty, but for us it's 13, 7, 11. I overshot it, so I have to redo it. Overshot it again. Yeah, the controls on these puzzles can be a little fiddly sometimes. So you just kind of have to work around it. Grab one of the 3 coins, and also a key to get out of this room. Technically, it's a little faster to run on light puzzle difficulty by around 1 second, not even. But I'm so used to hard puzzle difficulty that relearning all the puzzle solutions just to save 1 second would be a bit of a task, so I opt to just run. Most people opt to run on hard puzzle difficulty. Just so we basically don't have to relearn the whole game to save a second. Alright, so we'll go upstairs to the 3rd floor. Now we're going to do this to grab a pack of juice to get the 3rd coin later on. And then in these next couple of rooms, these mannequins can be very aggressive. So let's see. Okay. They were okay there. Yeah, they can still get me in this next room if I'm not careful. Usually there's always a mannequin right there that appears around the corner, so I just do a quick dodge there. It's pretty okay now, but it has the potential to get very chaotic later, especially once we get to the other world apartments in a second. So toss the juice down the trash chute. That'll give us our 3rd coin, the woman coin, I believe, later. But for right now, we're going to take a small detour to this pool area out in the back to get our 2nd coin. Do some quick dodges down the stairs, just to save a bit of time. And you might be able to hear him right now. We're going to meet Eddie for the first time. Unfortunately, we don't get a face full of Eddie and his butt crack like we did in the original, but still pretty good first appearance there. All the characters in this game were portrayed really well in the remake. I want to give special shoutouts to the people who did the voice acting for Eddie, James, and Maria. All did a very good job. Because, like, with this being such a legendary game, the original, we're kind of protective of the original, but they did a pretty good job staying faithful to the original game, like I said before. And yeah, we'll get our 3rd coin here, the woman coin, I think. Yep. Or the maiden coin is what it's actually called. This guy doesn't spit on me. He almost did. And I'll put these 3 coins in to do a quick puzzle. I'm a bit rusty on the puzzle solution, but I do have notes, thankfully. Yep, so there's 3 rounds of this. This is the 3rd one right here. Alright, that one okay. Technically, you could optimize that by doing it in the least amount of inputs, but, like... yeah, it's fine. That puzzle went okay, thankfully. I was just kind of worried I was going to mess that up. I did play through before the run just to make sure I could de-res, so we should be okay. Yeah, we finally have that key. Now we can go to apartment 201. We'll read this quick note on the table, and that will bring us to the Otherworld apartments. The normal apartments, is pretty chill, but the Otherworld version, however, is much more chaotic. Because there's a lot of enemies that can just, like, gang up on you all of a sudden. And it's also where we get our first real, like, true out of bounds. That one we did before, that was just deloading a wall, basically. But this one is where we get our first proper out of bounds. Also, I need to be kind of careful opening this up with the chainsaw. Because if you open up one of those, or break open one of those walls with a melee weapon, in our case a chainsaw, and an enemy grabs you while that's happening, you won't be able to break the wall down anymore. Which is kind of unfortunate. So you have to be kind of mindful of where the enemies are. Again, very situational awareness type of run. Especially once we get to some endgame areas later. Yeah, kind of similar to the main apartments where... Oh, also I have to kill this guy so he doesn't damage me. There we go. Kind of similar to the Otherworld apartments where... Uh-oh, got raided by the Lady Arcaders. Hi.
Hello, welcome in, Raiders. We are fundraising for the Transgender Law Center, and we are so glad that you're here in chat, keeping it cool.
Yeah, thank you, Lady Arcaders, for the raid. But yeah, like I was saying, kind of like the main, like, normal Silent Hill apartments, where we were grabbing the 3 coins, here we're going to grab 3 clock hands. If you, again, remember the clock puzzle from the original, it's kind of the same. They just modified it a little bit. Because it's actually the same solution as the original, which is 910. But it just, like, the way it works is a little differently. Or is a little different. So turn this valve, that'll open up room 306 for us. There's this mannequin that'll try to attack me, but I'll dodge it around the corner. When I went up to that door, a bit of a diagonal movement, so that when I get out of the dodge, I'm a bit closer to the door. And this next room can be kind of scary. There's a mannequin and also another enemy that can spit on me, but I'm gonna try to avoid that mannequin by just going right up to the valve. There we go. That way the mannequin...
Notoriously afraid of valves.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that just so I can get past, or get to that valve without the mannequin attacking me. 2 dodges in quick succession here. Boom. And boom. That is entirely necessary to do, otherwise those 2 mannequins would wreck your shit. So turn this valve twice to get our first hand. So what we need to get into that one room for, to get a valve to put in there, so we could lower this radio to get the hour hand. We'll need to get the hour, minute, and second hands. Like I was kind of alluding to before, we need to put it in specific positions. This hour hand we'll need to put at 9 on the clock. There we go. Now we'll open this H door over here. And we're going to get the minute hand in a second. In the only way James knows how. Which we'll see in a second here. Which is fishing it out of a toilet. He's probably going to need multiple tetanus shots after this. And also plenty of hand sanitizer.
Well, while we're enjoying this grossness, do we have a sec for a donation?
Yeah, sure. Real quick one.
Absolutely. There's no message on this one, but Evie donated $10, which puts us under $25 away. We're just $23.68 away from unlocking that glitch exhibition for Lego Island. So get your donations in, ! Donate. Remember, every single dollar is going towards Transgender Law Center and their incredibly critical work.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, so that true out of bounds, like I was alluding to before. gonna do it in a second. Just need to get rid of that enemy, because otherwise he's an issue, or can be an issue as I try to do this next skip. Alright, so you know how we could unload, or get past areas that were unloaded with low FPS trickery, right? Well, it turns out we can also, if this will work, hello? What? Hello? There we go. So we can buffer the shimmy through wall animation, or shimmy through gap animation, to go out of bounds with low FPS. And I just changed the FPS to 30 there, because, like I said, the game loads depending on the frame rate of the game. And for this specific trick, and also one later on when we get to the hospital, we need it to be a 30 FPS specifically for this glitch to work. This basically skips a pretty lengthy series of puzzles that we have to do, similar to the first lag skip that I did. There we go. If I was at a higher FPS, the floor above me would have loaded too soon, and I would have been stuck in the wall. But yeah, that skips, again, pretty lengthy series of puzzles. Now we get to meet Angela for the second time. Of course, it's gonna skip the cutscene though, but it's pretty good. Pretty good scene. Oh yeah, the toilet in the Saw video game is worse. I have to agree with that. Also, you'll hear some thumping right about now. That's Pyramid Head being creepy. Oh yeah, you might have also noticed before, and you'll see it right here. Look at a syringe. There's two types of healing items. There's a syringe, which acts like a full heal, kind of like a first aid spray in a Resident Evil game. And then the medicines, which I believe heal you for half health. I'll be picking up a fair amount of those throughout the run, because like I was saying earlier, the enemies in this remake can be very aggressive, even on light mode. So, grabbing plenty of healing items throughout the run. Depending on how stuff goes, there's some backup ones I can grab too. Code is always 522, so we'll input that in really quick. Just want to reach in our arms through stuff, this time through a hole in the wall. Not in a toilet this time, thankfully. Although I don't know about you, but I wouldn't insert my arms into random stuff. Doesn't exactly seem safe.
Seems like a bad idea in this town specifically.
Yep. Yeah, that's the last hand we need to get for the clock. Putting this one in, which we'll put into position 3 on the clock. That'll let us access the boss fight, or first real boss of the run, Pyramid Head. And what's interesting...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, with Pyramid Head, his mechanics are really interesting, because unlike most bosses in the game, his health is based off of time, not on actual HP. Also, I need to grab this pistol ammo real quick. And by damaging him, you remove certain amounts of time from that timer. It starts at 3 minutes. So I'll do a few hits here with the chainsaw after dodging that swing. I'll eat some damage here, just so I can get a few more swings in. Okay. Dodge out of the way, you store jerk. Okay. But yeah, out of all the weapons in the game, Chainsaw does the most amount of, I guess, time removal damage to Pyramid Head. So we just do a few shots to Pyramid Head, or a few hits to Pyramid Head with the chainsaw, and he's dead. Oh, I almost got it. Alright, so I'm going to reload here, just so we can get rid of that blaring siren, so the game isn't super loud. And I'm going to try to... I'll elaborate on it in a little bit, but I'm going to try to do a skip here that I have to kind of zero in on. It's one of those low FPS walks again. Getting through the doors here is the hard part because you can get stuck on them. Ooh, I might have gone a bit too far there. Yeah, we should be fine. Okay. I just need to make sure to take a wide line there, otherwise we get stuck on a house that kind of loads in and out of bounds there. So we're going to keep on trucking. We're going to go to this spot over here, next to this house, to do some more deloading shenanigans, so we'll pause and wait. What I'm trying to do here is skip a walk and talk sequence with Maria, who we would meet for the first time by coming across her at the docks, next to this garden area. Just give it a quick second. It should be fully deloaded in just a quick second here. I think we're good to go. So now we're fully out of bounds, so I have to get back on the streets past the boardwalk where we'd meet Maria. I'll walk up left to get back on the street because we're still out of bounds right now. Right, there we go. Should be back on the street. Wait for the street to load in fully. We're going back to normal FPS, and there we go. We skipped the walk and talk sequence with Maria. I'm actually very surprised I got that first try, because that skip is unbelievably difficult. Because the movement you have to do to get through the double doors at the start of it is very tricky. And if you're too slow during that, the street around you loads in, which obviously you don't want. We got the second part of the dog key right there. We now have it fully put together so we can access our secret dog ending later. And we'll be following Maria over to Heaven's Night, which I must say looks really good in the remake. Like, props to Bloober Team for the environmental design in this game. Even if some of Bloober Team's storytelling isn't the best in their other games, you gotta give them props for their, like, environmental design and stuff, because most of their games look absolutely gorgeous, in my opinion. Gonna do a quick dodge right here. There's a mannequin hidden behind that door. Making our way over to Heaven's Night. This Heaven's Night section is mostly like on rails walking, basically, until we get out of it with Maria, so you can read off any blurbs or donations if you'd like.
Beautiful. I appreciate that. We got a $5.68 donation from Jilly Beans, who says, "Good luck with the rest of the event." And they put that towards the Lego Island Glitch Exhibition, which takes us just to $18 away from meeting that incentive.
Nice.
So, yeah, get those donations in. We are really close to unlocking that glitch exhibition. I do love old school glitch exhibitions, so let's make that happen. It's going to be fantastic. And just as a reminder, I know we got some folks in from the raid. We are here in support of Transgender Law Center. Founded in 2002, Transgender Law Center has grown into the largest trans-specific, trans-led organization in the United States. Their advocacy and precedent-setting litigation victories in areas including employment, prison conditions, education, immigration, and healthcare protect and advance the rights of transgender and gender nonconforming people across the country. Through their organizing and movement building programs, TLC assists, informs, and empowers thousands of individual community members a year and builds towards a long-term national trans-led movement for liberation.
Yeah.
And remember, every single dollar you're donating at the link that you get when you type in !donate goes directly to Transgender Law Center and their work. So get those donations in for a great cause.
Yeah, very much seconded. Like Blaze was saying during my Balacha run the other day, it's definitely something we need at times like this, so it's good charity. Also, don't worry about this part of the walk and talk too much. It's extra lore they added into the remake to basically allude to James's struggle over the course of the story. If you know, you know. But Obviously, we skip past the cutscene. So this is one other big difference with the remake. At this point, after going to Heaven's Night, we would go to a diner and meet up with Eddie, where we get the famous pizza cutscene. But here we go to the theater instead, which has a much better portrayal of Eddie, I think. Like, they portrayed Eddie's, like, I don't know what you call it, but, like, progression of his loss of sanity, I guess, over the course of the game pretty well. Still kind of sad, though, that we don't get to see the pizza cutscene, because that's unironically my favorite line in the entire game of the original. Because, like, even when I played this casually, I was just, like, low-key hoping that scene was still in there so I could make jokes about it, but unfortunately they changed it.
Alas. And welcome in, Raiders. Thank you so much for joining us. This fundraiser for Transgender Law Center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the theater is pretty straightforward. We just have to chase Laura, that little girl that you might see in the camera room in the theater. She's going to lead us over to our next area, the hospital. Now, if you thought that one out of bounds skip I did in the Otherworld apartments was something, you're not prepared for what's about to happen in the hospital, because we're going to have two of the craziest out of bounds sequences in the run, basically back to back. Because if you thought the out of bounds, like, low FPS frame walking was hard, and it is, just imagine me doing that on a flight of stairs. 2 flights of stairs, in fact. That's what's about to happen here. Not right now, though. We just have to go to the basement of the hospital as normal. Because once we get to the elevator in the basement is where things start to break again. I have to get a key to get to the basement, though, so we'll get that real quick. Basement isn't too bad, but there's a couple of mannequins down there that can be kind of annoying.
Just when I thought things couldn't get any creepier. James, there's a map here. Might come in handy. Why would she rent this?
I don't think she likes me very much.
But why?
Yeah, the idea with the basement is, like I was alluding to, we're getting on an elevator to get up to the rest of the hospital. But to power it, we need some gas, which these 2 mannequins are blocking the gas can for. Hopefully they don't decide to be rude. Okay, cool. Oh, you know what? I forgot to equip the chainsaw. My bad. That's happened before, where I enter the hospital, because, like, before I went in the hospital, it equipped a pipe to replace my plank. And I always have, like, this bad habit of sometimes forgetting to re-equip the chainsaw when I get to the hospital. But that's fine. We fixed our error. Also, these cart pushing sections can be kind of annoying, because it can sometimes look like you're right on the point where you need to place the cart, and then it turns out you're like an inch off and you have to move it a little bit for the game to actually register that the cart's where it needs to be. Also, this first part of the hospital is kinda sorta an escort quest with Maria. So Maria... Okay, hi! You decide to be rude. Get out of here. So this part, like I was saying, this is kind of sorta an escort quest with Maria for this next little bit. And so obviously... Okay, accidentally canceled out of that. And so obviously Maria can take damage. And it's kind of funny, because if Maria gets damaged by an enemy and then James meets up with her again, James is like, "Are you okay, Maria?" And she's just like, "No, I'm not okay, James." It's just so passive-aggressive. It's great. So, take the elevator up to the rest of the hospital. In a second, anyway. It takes a quick bit here. There we go. Maria's incapacitated, but don't worry about her. She's probably fine. I'll open this little keypad, which has a code of 7456. Just input that real quick. Alright, here's where the next skip is, because normally here we would have to do a puzzle involving 3 bracelets, but we can skip getting those 3 bracelets entirely. Because, similar to what we were doing before, we'll let stuff deload. And ideally what'll happen once I start this is I'll get past a door that's normally locked until you do the puzzle. Now let us get to the next boss of the run, Flesh Lips, a little early. Do have to wait for it to deload though, so we'll just give it a quick second. And this this frame walk, I should say, it's very difficult compared to the other frame walks in the run, which I guess is what I'll call them. Because I'll be going up a flight of stairs, which makes it very hard to plan my movements out. So I have to be very cautious about it once I unpause here and start moving at 2 FPS, basically like a PowerPoint. Alright, so let's go. Oh shoot, I got stuck there, that could be bad. I'll just go ahead and reset it up. Yeah, the annoying thing about these skips, obviously we have to wait for stuff to deload. So each time you fail one of these frame walks, not only do you lose, the amount of time you lost from failing it, you also lose time from having to wait for stuff to deload again. Which is, these frame walks are pretty much a big part of the reason why most of runners of this game run Restricted, which is basically this game's version of glitchless, as opposed to this, but I like running Unrestricted because it's fun breaking games like this, basically. And that's also why I run New Game Plus for this too, because like don't have to worry about inventory management as much, and you get to destroy the bosses with overpowered weapons. Alright, so we'll try again. Much better. Yeah, much better. Alright, then when we get to the top here, this door should be deloaded. There we go.
Nicely done.
Yeah, so that gets us past the locked door that we would unlock by doing the bracelet puzzle. Now we're doing Flesh Lips. If you've ever seen the hard mode run, or even just new game run, like what Captain Ezekiel did at HEDQ, you'll know that this boss fight is pretty difficult, but there's a way we can cheese it with New Game Plus. Also, I'm switching to 60 FPS and reloading here, because it gives a more consistent pattern with Flesh Lips' AI. Because this whole DLC occasionally dips above the ceiling here, like that. But reloading and playing at 60 FPS makes him come down sooner. Just gonna wail on him with the chainsaw. Eventually he'll die. Or go up against above the ceiling again. Hello? There we go. Hopefully he doesn't charge. There we go. Should be dead now. There we go. Yeah, we just wail on him with the chainsaw. And the boss is dead. That's how most of the bosses of the run are going to go. With one exception that you'll see later. Alright, and we're not out of the woods yet with the out-of-bounds frame walks, because we're going to do another one in the Otherworld version of the hospital here. And this one's a lot more difficult, because while we have to do the hard frame walks, and that's hard, or the difficult frame walks, and that's already hard on its own, after we do this next frame walk, or as part of this next frame walk, we're going to have to do a pretty specifically timed pause to let the level load in at a specific time. And if I didn't make a save, I'd be reloaded back to the beginning of this section before the elevator, so I'll just make a quick save right there. As a quick safety measure.
After this frame walk, do we have time for a quick donation?
Yeah, after this frame walk, but I have to focus up real
Absolutely.
quick.
Of course.
Yeah, so I'll just line myself up here. Alright, and then let it rip. I'll walk forwards here. Let's walk up left to get out of this room before it reloads. Alright, I'll get rid of the low frame rate, and then go into the pause menu. Because like with the skip before, with the puzzle skip in the other world apartments, we want to be at a very specific frame rate, in this case 30, so that the level loads in a certain way. And then I need to, like I said, pause at a very specific time as I fall down here. And it's pretty difficult to time, so let's see what happens. It looks good. Alright, we got it. So by pausing at a specific time there as I'm falling down and letting the level load, it'll put me at the entrance to the hospital. This skips a pretty lengthy series of puzzles. Well, granted, this area is pretty short, even in restricted runs. But this lets us skip a pretty lengthy series of puzzles at the other half, and in the back half of the hospital. And it also lets us skip Maria dying. Spoilers. So technically, in the canon of this run, Maria's alive, I guess. And also, after I did that out of bounds, I went back and ran to that corner in the hallway. Because after doing that skip, the otherworld streets here that I'm in right now, they're not loaded properly. So by going over there and hitting that trigger, the streets are loaded properly. And the otherworld streets are pretty straightforward. There's a couple of tricks to get to do here. For instance, there's normally this mannequin that attacks you from underneath the table. But by hanging around the edge of that room, like I did, we avoid aggroing that mannequin, so have a much easier time going through that room. Going to stop walking for a brief moment, because you might have seen that mannequin that was walking right there. By walking for a brief moment as we go through this room, makes the mannequin not aggro onto you. Because as you saw with me getting grabbed a couple of times, the grab animation is pretty slow. So thankfully we get to avoid it by doing that.
You have a sec for a quick update?
Yeah, sure.
I'm afraid you're on notice from Microsoft Office, who
What?
donates $10 to Transgender Law Center.
Uh-oh.
And they say, this doesn't look like a licensed version of our software. Yeah, I think your frame walking is getting you in trouble here. Thank you so much, Microsoft Office, for your donation. They put that towards the poll to save the animal. But hey, do keep in mind when you're making your donations at !donate in the chat. You'll be able to click on the link in there. You can select both a poll and a target. Your money goes both ways. It's fantastic. We don't make you pick one or the other. You get to do both. So pick a poll and a target. We're only $18 away from that glitch showcase incentive. So we'd really love to see that.
Yeah, thankfully that last skip I did is the wrap for the frame walks in this run. There is another one I could do to skip this running section I'm doing right here. But it's very difficult because it not only involves a lot of, like I said, those like little frame walks where you have to like precariously move through geometry, but you also have to do it in one shot because you don't get checkpoints at all during it, and it's like a 4 or 5 minute out of bounds sequence. No one has really done it in a full run yet. Not even the current world record holder, a Chinese runner named nude_JS, does it. It's just that risky. But we do have one skip right here. It's going to involve the lag, basically scramble clips, just like that. We'll go into this diner, and there's a little shortcut for us. Also,
Make that look easy.
Yep. Yeah, and it also lets us jump scare the enemies as revenge from getting grabbed earlier. Yeah, just a lot of running through the streets. Most of it from here on is pretty straightforward, so you can read a few donations or plugs if you'd like.
Beautiful. That's perfect because I do want to pop off and let chat know we are at $4,700
Yo.
on the nose.
Heck
Thank
yeah.
you, Blackheart Wings, for your $7.31 donation to clean up the total. Blackheart Wings says, I love this game. I love this cause. I love saving frames. Put this towards not adopting the cat in Stardew.
Yeah, on that note, I just want to, like, point out the insane pace of donations we've had this marathon. Because, like, obviously it's a smaller marathon that we just kind of put together for fun to raise money for charity. I did not expect us to raise as much as we have at this point. Donors have really been showing up this weekend.
Absolutely. We appreciate every single one of them.
Yeah, you can keep going with donations. We're just running for a bit.
Oh, absolutely. I just want to remind people we are just $18 away from unlocking that glitch showcase in Lego Island. Also, we do have that poll open for adopting the pet versus not adopting the pet in Stardew Valley. Adopting the pet is, of course, going to make you feel good about adopting an animal, but it does take up some precious, precious time. And the Valiant Son would love to get, a clean run with as few frames as possible. So, if we can make that happen, a Valiant Son specifically wants to point out saving the frames could mean a possible world record on this run. So, we could see a world record live on stream today if we don't adopt the animal. But then we're not adopting a pet, so that's a tough one.
Yeah, you heard that right. Another potential PB and even world record. Because we had one earlier with Wind Waker. Also, I did a major goof. I forgot to grab the wrench right there, so I had to run back and grab it.
Oops.
More time for donations, though, so keep it coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Currently, Save the Animal is ahead at 61.32, ahead of Save the Frames at 57.31. So that's a really close race there. So your donation of as little as $5 could bump up Save the Frames, or you could put Save the Animal further ahead. Oh, and I am hearing we just met the glitch showcase incentive for Lego Island. Thank you
Nice.
so much, chat. That's thanks to an $18 donation from Benny the Spaceman, who says, will the Lego glitch exhibition include spaceships?
Potentially.
Oh, I've also been told that it's time to make more chainsaw noises. Vroom, vroom.
So yeah, you'll see, speaking of which, with chainsaws and enemies, a couple enemies just appeared right there underneath the grate. Those are called, blanking. Mandarins, yeah. But those are just apparitions of mandarins. They're fake. They don't actually do anything to you. We will see a mandarin later in the run, though, so stay tuned. Yeah, we're back in the garden area from before. We just need to take a quick detour here to grab the key to get into the next area, which is the Historical Society. I mentioned that out-of-bounds frame walk you could do here. It's not a total skip of this, because you do still have to get the key to get into this Historical Society at this grave right here. There is actually another skip you could do in combination with that frame walk, or series of frame walks, where you can go out of bounds and not only skip this walk sequence, but also skip going into the Historical Society entirely. But the trick to do that is even more difficult than the frame walk itself, because you have to like do a certain amount of dodges out of bounds, where you have no visual cues besides James's dodging animation, basically, and hit a trigger out of thin air to load into a later part of the prison, which is the area after this. So, no chance in heck anyone's going to do that in runs, but it's pretty cool. Shoutouts to On Trigger, by the way. He's the main glitch hunter for this run, or for this game, who found a lot of the crazy tricks you saw me do in the first half earlier. He has now cursed me with having to play the game basically like a slideshow, but it's fast, so we have to do them. Yeah, I can keep going with donations and plugs, because we're still got a bit of running to do.
You got it. I just want to let people know about some of the games that are coming up a little bit later. We do have that Lego Island run that's coming up later. That's a 15-minute run by Andrea, and it's Pepper Percent, which should be very exciting. We are getting that glitch showcase afterwards. After that, we are seeing some Stardew Valley from the Valiant Sun, and then the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim from Musical Daredevil. It's a stacked schedule today, chat. So you're going to want to stick around after Silent Hill 2 here to see all of the amazing runs that we have available. If you want to see more of the schedule, type !schedule in the chat. You'll get a link to that.
Yeah, this is a really long staircase, if you can tell. And of course, we're going on stairs, so I'm going to be dodging quite a lot. But yeah, once we get deeper into the historical society here after this long staircase, there's a pretty RNG heavy puzzle we'll have to do. If you've played the original, you likely know what's coming up. That is right, I'm referring to the Bug Room puzzle. To give a quick preview before we get there, it's a 3-digit code that's entirely random, with the digits 2, 3, and 9 in a random order. And I have to randomly guess the code. There's no way to manipulate it or anything. And if I take too long in the room, there's some bugs that'll damage me, so I have to be kind of wary about that when I get there as well. What? Oh, yeah, I went the wrong way, but that's fine. So you don't have to worry about that enemy. He usually doesn't attack you. Well, he does, but he doesn't do it quick enough to get to us. Classic James Sunderland. We'll just watch him jump down a hole. And we have to hit a hole here to progress to the prison proper. And it's always this hole right here, so we'll go ahead and break that open. You're kind of meant to guess which hole this door is behind, but it's always the same hole every time, so just go ahead and break that. Alright, and the bug room's coming up right here, so let's see how it decides to treat me. I do have healing items in case this goes wrong. Oh my god, first try. Like I said, it's a 3-digit code, and it's entirely random, and there's no way to manipulate it, so we just have to straight guess every time we go through that room. So the fact that we got first try is incredible. And there's another RNG puzzle kind of like that later on in the run too, so stay tuned for when we get to that. There's a way to skip the bug room puzzle actually, but it's kind of tricky to do. You have to lure a line figure, which is what that enemy is called that was running in the water before. And at that point, you're relying on enemy AI, it becomes a little random. Alright, so now we're in the prison. The kind of central puzzle here is we're going to these sub-areas to grab all these weights to put on the scale puzzle. And this room will be coming up to in a second. And the prison is easily the most chaotic part in the entire run, because it's a bunch of really thin hallways, kind of like this, that are all packed with enemies. And given what I said before about the enemies being aggressive, it's a little difficult to manage, and it's easily one of the most hated parts of the run, no matter which category you play. Just put the weights here. For each of these puzzles, to open each of these doors, which you can see the icons for on the scale right there, you have to put the scales in a specific order, which I do have notes for, thankfully. This first pass through this main area isn't too bad, because usually they aren't aggressive to you before you get to the snake door. There's a lot of enemies in this upcoming hallway. I will try to dodge them all.
While we're running through here, do we have time for a few updates?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. I just want to let chat know we opened up a couple incentives because, raising $4,718 is pretty great for Transgender Law Center, but I think we want to hit 5K, don't you, chat? So to that end, we opened up a couple incentives. We're hoping to upgrade the Kaizo race later to 100%. The Sayonara Mario World 2 run that is happening later. We're going to upgrade that from the XOO percent, sorry, to 100%. So it adds like another 15 minutes to the run. And of course, Kaizo runs are buck wild already. So that's going to be fun. We also opened up an incentive to add some a bonus boss song to Pump It Up Phoenix later that Zello is going to be running. I know Zello. I've seen amazing work on Pump It Up from Zello. So please donate to unlock that bonus boss song. You want that. Trust me.
Yeah. Might have seen me jump in my seat. A couple of mannequins there decided to surprise me and give me a back rub. Because that's what I was saying before about this area being chaotic, with it being very thin hallways and there being a lot of enemies. They can gang up on you very easily and just really wreck you. Like sometimes, because like there's a lot of audio in play, a lot of audio cues in play when you're listening for their attacks, and sometimes they don't even play a sound cue, and you just have to straight guess if they're gonna attack you or not. Go. So I'll open up the bowl door right there, and this particular pass through the main cell block here can be treacherous, so let's see how they decide to behave. Turn my light off here just so they're a bit less aggressive. Ooh, okay, they were about to get me. That was close. Keep my light off for this first pass through this upper cell block. Like a similar case to the hallway below, they can be kind of aggressive, and it's a lot of thin hallways. Thankfully they were kind there. Usually turning our light off on that pass the hallway makes it a bit more consistent. So obviously with this game, and really Silent Hill as a whole, they're less aggressive when you have the lights off. So turn the light off at certain points in the cells here, or in the prison, just to make it a bit safer.
I too get angry when someone shines light in my eyes.
Honestly, fair. You just need 5 more minutes or something. Right,
Mom, I don't want to go to school.
Not in this town. But yeah, we'll be taking a second pass through the prison, or through this 2 cells here. Grab that shift key because we need to open this specific cell door. Because we want to go into the showers. Hold on. Being rude. Okay. I was gonna swing at that mannequin, then they went on the wall. Now we need to open this cell door to get to the showers. Okay, I thought they were gonna grab me. You need to open that cell door to get to the showers, because there's another weight we need to get here. It's the heavy weight. There's like, I think 6 weights we need for the final version of this puzzle in total. Let's go ahead and grab the heavy weight here. There's a couple of nurses here they need to avoid, so I'll be flashing light on and off. Just so I can see, but the nurses won't aggro onto me as much at the same time. There we go. More shove an arm in holes to grab this one. If you're afraid of cockroaches, you might not like this particular animation.
I don't like that animation, and I'm not particularly insectophobic. That's just upsetting.
Yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do, though. Okay, so... Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, I got grabbed. Nurse is being rude. Ah! I got a little disoriented there because of where the camera ended up facing me. That's fine, I have plenty of syringes, and I grabbed that health drink earlier. In that one drawer, so we should be okay. Dodge past these next few nurses. When I get out of here, I'm going to take this shortcut across the hallway. Ooh, okay, that mannequin decided to be weird. That's okay, we dodged past him. I'm taking this shortcut right here. So that way I can open this door up for later as a quick little shortcut. Because taking that shortcut conveniently puts us a bit closer. Okay, thanks, mannequin. Puts us a bit closer to this room. We have to put the weights down. Oh, whoop.
Look, I get not liking the puzzle, but using the chainsaw seems extreme.
Gotta get his anger out somehow. Alright, so that
Remember, chat, you can make me make chainsaw noises in your donations.
Yeah, that'll open up the bower door. There is one mannequin that can be rude here as we go through it, but thankfully he didn't decide to lunge. This part isn't too bad, but there is one nurse that can be a problem later. Actually, not just one nurse, several nurses. There's one room we'll go into in a second that has 3 nurses that we have to dodge. Example, there's this nurse right here. I'm gonna go ahead and kill her with the chainsaw just so she isn't a problem when I go in this next room. Because if you don't kill her, she can block the doors you're trying to leave, which can be a little annoying. Need to grab that key, because it'll let us open the door to a stairwell. That'll let us explore the rest of this area. Which is where our next weight will be. There's going to be another mannequin here. Typically in runs, I would just dodge past him because you don't really have to worry about interacting with him for quick enough. So I'll just dodge right there to avoid the hit. This is a pretty interesting puzzle because you're supposed to type S-I-C-K or sick on the keyboard, but you can actually just cheat by just pressing E 4 times, and that solves it automatically. Pretty nice puzzle solution there. Oh, hi. You are being... That's weird. Usually he's not there, but he decided to show up, I guess. He was a bit late to the party.
I was gonna say, I too spell sick, E-E-E-E.
No, I actually think we were pressing tab on that typewriter.
Oh, well, tab, 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 then. That's how you spell sick, obviously.
Yeah. I got that right there. Gonna go back to the scale. Again, we have to put these weights in a specific order, but I have them in my notes. Because good luck to me trying to remember this in my head. I'll open the last door that we need to go through, which will lead to a basement cell area. There is one mannequin on the wall, going to be kind of annoying here, so let's see. You can see him as he's about to lunge at you, though, so it's a lot easier to time that dodge in particular. This area isn't too bad, but there are a couple of mannequins here that can be a troll, so let's see what happens. Even then, you can just dodge out of the way pretty easily. Usually right here is where they're a problem. There's a mannequin right there, which you can see because they were off screen. There's another one. Going in the side room to unlock one of the cells, which has the weight that we need. There we go. It's the second cell door down here. And now we wait. Because we have to wait for this little scene to play out. Not really a cutscene, but just a scene. Until we can open this door. It's not exactly clear what's happening here, but I like to theorize that it's Pyramid Head killing all the enemies that were trying to be rude to us earlier. Thanks, Pyramid Head, I guess.
Wow, what a bro.
Yeah, he's helpful sometimes. Oh, there we go. So we got our final weight. Take this quick shortcut to get back up to the prison proper. And coming up, we have the second RNG heavy puzzle of the run. Kind of similar, somewhat, to the bug room puzzle I was doing before. Again, if you remember or have played the OG Silent Hill 2, you likely remember what's about to happen. It is the noose puzzle, or arsonist as it's called in the original. And there's 6 nooses we have to select. And normally you have to read a placard to decode what you need to put or select for the noose, but that's slow, so we just have to blind guess instead. And it's random which of the 3 it can be. So I'm just gonna guess and hope, basically. I'll be able to tell if I got the correct one, because my splits that I have running here will split on the correct one. And that was not it. So, depending on the difficulty, certain ones are more likely to be the correct ones, which for hard is 2 and 5, I believe. So I start with 2 there, and then we'll pick 5 next. Alright, second try. You can also tell if it's correct or not, because the music will change going out of that cutscene. Yeah, we got past the RNG puzzle. Second try, thankfully, because that puzzle can be, like the bug room puzzle, very mean. We jumping down some more holes. After this is the Eddie boss fight, which is probably the most difficult, or actually no. I added myself. After this is the Abstract Daddy fight, which was done in a pretty interesting way in the remake, because Abstract Daddy in the original was honestly a pretty forgettable boss, and even in speedruns we end up skipping it with glitches. But with this version of the fight, it's its own proper boss fight. It even mixes it in with like a chase sequence in a strange way. That just is a really cool set piece in general. We have to take a quick elevator right here to get down there, though. So while we're finding our ways down to Abstract Daddy, more donations.
Absolutely. I just wanted to provide a quick update on that incentive that's open for Sayonara Mario World 2. One of our racers, Shoujo, got world record in 100% earlier today. So that's really exciting.
Heck
If you
yeah.
want to see in the race the current world record holder go up for to defend their title live here on stream, then get those donations in to unlock that 100%, because that would be so much fun.
Yeah. How recently did they get that world record, do you know?
This morning.
Wow, okay. Yeah, definitely worth tuning into that. I'll probably watch Lego Island right after my run, actually. Yeah, we're doing Abstract Daddy. Don't worry about what's happening in the background. It's thematic stuff that we don't have time to dive into here. To start, I'll do a couple hits with the chainsaw. Well, first I have to dodge out of the way so that Abstract Daddy doesn't grab me. There we go. So I'll do 2 hits with the chainsaw. That'll do enough damage to Abstract Daddy to progress the fight. Like I said, it's an interesting set piece where they mix a boss fight and a chase sequence together. So a lot of the time we aren't even fighting Abstract Daddy, we're just running through these hallways alongside Angela that you'll see pop in a couple of times, like right there. And this is probably one of the most intensive parts of the game as far as performance goes. Like, to give you an idea, I'm running on a pretty beefy PC with a RTX 4090 in it and everything, and it's still, like, the FPS just chugs sometimes. Like, it's this area in particular that just kills computers for some reason. Probably because of all the shaking effects that are going on, if I had to guess. And it's just an intensive game in general. Like, the game does have performance issues as a whole, because it's Unreal Engine 5, which is also part of the reason. So yeah, Abstract Daddy appears again right there, but we don't actually have to damage him. We only have to damage him the 2 times before with the chainsaw. We can just ignore him for the most part after that. We'll have to find him again, though, in a little bit after this chase sequence is done. So yeah, you can see the game just chugging right there. Before I was running at a smooth 120, and then that little hallway right there, I was all the way down to 50 because the game was lagging so much. Yeah. Yeah, the boss names are interesting, but there's thematic reasons for it. Like, obviously we don't have time to dive into it, but there's pretty interesting lore behind this game. And the other Silent Hill games, for sure. And I've been smashing these TVs, by the way, because that's how you progress this chase sequence. But we're about to do the boss fight proper. Or boss fight with Abstract Daddy proper. It's going to be more chainsaw hits. It's going to try to give me some hugs, though, which I need to dodge out of the way to avoid. Just like that. So I'll dodge out of the way and do 2 chainsaw hits. And there we go. Do that a couple of times and he's done. And right after that, literally right after, we would enter the labyrinth area, but yeah, you probably guess what's about to happen. We're going to do more frame walk shenanigans. And this one's a bit more difficult because we have to pick up a map in the middle of this, which the game forces us to do. So I just have to exit out of that and manage my movement pretty well. Oof. Got stuck on the corner there, but it's probably fine still. Alright. Perfect. There we go. So that just skipped the entire labyrinth area, where you'd have to go into the labyrinth a few times to solve some puzzles, basically. If you've seen the Restricted run, you know what happens in that area. And it saves, I want to say, around 17 minutes. Because normally you'd have to do all those puzzles, like I said. Get the Great Knife to dissolve that wall of monsters. And then proceed to the Eddie boss fight, which will be coming up in a little bit. We get to skip that area completely, which is so nice, because that area, if you've seen or even done a Restricted run, it's rough. So thankfully we get to skip that. We'll be doing Eddie coming up, though. Which is the next boss fight for real. And Eddie is a pretty tough fight, because despite what he may look like with his overall figure, he's a sprinter. He runs pretty fast. And he also has a revolver that almost one-shots you, even on light mode. So we have to be pretty careful to not get damaged by him. And the entire fight takes place in a big freezer, which makes it even tougher to see him. So when we go into this fight, you'll see me turn on high contrast mode, that's what it is, in the accessibility settings, just so I can see Eddie a bit easier. Because obviously there's a bunch of like frost and stuff that prevents you from being able to see. Should be in here. No, it's in display graphics. There we go. The game will look a little weird for a second, but don't mind that too much. Also, I'm going to reload off the checkpoint right here, because that skips a quick monologue that Eddie does at the start of the fight. Uh-oh. Got me. There we go. Also, I have not tried the high contrast mode with this old James mod, and it looks so weird. Because it doesn't cover all of the model.
Then you'll just curl up and die. And it's gonna feel great. Just like before.
The
Okay.
purple skin's fantastic.
Yeah. Alright, so if I stand in the right spot here, Eddie will spawn right in front of me. Didn't get though, that's fine. Yeah, he sprints pretty fast, as you can see, so once he is able to get away, you just, like, can lose him pretty easily. It's a lot of very close management of where he is, so you can land shots on him. Just stand there in the corner, for some reason. And now it gets even harder, because these meat bags move around, which make it harder to hit him. Okay, rude. Nice, that was actually pretty solid, Eddie. I was expecting it to go way worse, just because of how this fight can be sometimes, but that went okay. Oh yeah, definitely nicer accessibility, I would agree. Kind of makes it annoying to play in most situations though, so we're going to go ahead and turn that off now that we don't need it. Now we can see 2001 James properly. So it's like, in a typical run, that's the last hard part of the run, thankfully. So once you get past Eddie in a real run, and you're on PB pace, you know it's pretty likely to PB. You can read more donations for now, though, because we just have to paddle over to the hotel, which is going to be the final area.
Absolutely. Friends, just as a reminder to everyone, we are fundraising for the Transgender Law Center, and we have currently raised over $4,700 for TLC, which is fantastic, but we're hoping to go even further. We've got some incentives opened up. I found out some details about that boss song that we're going to make Zello play if we can hit that incentive. If this is met, the song that's going to be played is 1950 Slam, and it is the most difficult chart in the game from when it was released in 2015. 200 BPM, doubles chart with stuttering effects that's going to make him go all across the pad. It's going to be so great. So let's torture Zello and open up that incentive. So when you donate, !donate, to get the information on where to do that, make sure you click on targets and pick the target you want it to go towards, and pick either the boss song incentive that I just talked about, or there's also an incentive open right now to up the difficulty, or up the category for Sayonara Mario World 2. You can also pick a poll. You can do both polls and targets when you're putting your money towards it. It doesn't cost you anything extra. You get to do both.
Alright. Okay, well, times we're just at the end of the rowing section. Unfortunately, I don't think it actually times the amount you spend in the boat, unlike in the original, but that's fine. It's now at the hotel, which is the final area. And this specific area actually went through a lot of routing changes when the game first came out. Because we used to take a different route through here. And then a runner named Carcinogen, who you might know from various marathons in the past, a lot of his YouTube no damage stuff. Oh wait, hold on. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to go over here, yeah. Like I said earlier, I'm a bit rusty, so I have to remember where to go off the top of my head. But yeah, he was routing a no damage run for this game on hard difficulty, and he ended up finding a skip later on in the hotel that makes a boss fight, or what's technically a boss fight, a lot more consistent. It will be another encounter with one of those mandarins. We get to skip it entirely. And I'll go into more detail once we get up to it, but it's basically a soft lock prevention measure that helps us skip having to go through that fight. So there's some more mannequins here, but we don't have to worry too much about them. So I'm gonna... Okay, hi, mannequin. I'm gonna go over here to this door and unlock it. Okay, hi, buddy. Okay. Like I said, the enemies in this game could be aggressive. I just didn't think they would be that aggressive. Oh my gosh. But yeah, we went over there to get that key. That'll let us access not this door, but the sunrise wing over here. So let us explore the second floor. Put these books in. I have to put them in a certain order, but I have those noted down. Oh, what? Where's the puzzle? There we go. Relations. Smaller. Right, sword. There we go. Putting those books in, we'll open up this secret area. Let's do a briefcase puzzle here. Again, kind of similar to the original. And the solution is the same every time. It's love, lust. There we go. I'll give us the key to the employee elevator. Take a quick shortcut through here to get there.
While we're heading there, do we have a second for a donation?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. We got a $25 donation from Anonymous. They don't have any message themselves, but I think the chainsaw wanted to say... They did put that towards upgrading to 100% in Super Mario or Sayonara Mario World 2, excuse me. And they also want to save the frames in Stardew Valley, which does put saving the frames up over saving the animals in Stardew Valley.
Nice. So now we're in this side area, because the whole deal with the hotel... Okay. Okay, mannequin's being rude. Yeah, we have to go in here to grab a figurine. The puzzle that lets us finish this area needs 3... Okay, you're not where I expected you to be. I'm blanking hard right now. Okay, I'm supposed to go here first. Yeah, the puzzle that lets us finish this area needs 3 toy figurines, kind of like the coins and stuff we were grabbing before. The first one is in the basement over here. We have to dodge some mandarins, which, as you saw right there, can be kind of annoying to deal with, but you know, they're not too bad. Yeah, it's typical with a lot of these games. You have to grab a bunch of keys to get everywhere. That key I just grabbed will let us go into the bar where the first figurine is. Right, there we go. The mermaid figurine, fittingly enough, because it was just sitting in the water there. And where I'm about to go is where that routing change I was talking about before comes up. Because we're gonna be doing a series of puzzles here to open up a fireplace on the 3rd floor. And normally when you go to grab that figurine, there's a boss fight you'd have to do, kind of, sorta, with a mandarin, kind of like the ones we just encountered in the basement. But if you do not have a weapon going into that fight, The game has a soft lock prevention measure, where this gap in the wall that you'd have to break open, like I've been doing a few times throughout the run, you would have to... it's just not there. So you can avoid having to fight that Mandarin. You have to actually get up to that room, though, so I have to get the key to get up there in room 107 here, down on the bottom floor. Anyway, it's that shortcut I opened before. There's a mannequin right here that can be kind of annoying, but we got past him. A quick detour here to the pool to get the key for the fireplace.
So there are mannequins and mandarins.
Yep.
No Madelines?
Nope, not in this game. We do with Maria, but that's...
What about
Yeah.
a mandolin?
Oh, a mandolin? Yeah, unfortunately not. Mannies were waiting? Yeah, they definitely were. Make our way back up to the fireplace room, or the conference room, where the fireplace is. So we'll get our second mannequin, or second figurine. And this is where that skip I was talking about is. So we'll get the we're going to the fireplace, get the Cinderella figurine there. So the game starts the fight with the Mandarin. And we're supposed to break open this wall to exit the room, but you'll see when I push the shelf, it's not there. So we can just walk right through that gap without having to break open the wall. Not only does it save a little bit of time, not having to fight the Mandarin there, it also ends up making that room a bit safer. Because, for example, in hard mode, where you take a lot of damage, it's just a lot more consistent getting through that room. It's like a quick detour right here, because I technically could go and finish the rest of the puzzles in this area, but I have to go and grab my stuff here. Because part of the stuff I put away before I went into the employee elevator was the dog key, which I need for the ending. The dog ending later, at the end of the run. And we've grabbed our stuff, we'll go in here and get the key for room 202, which we need just to progress in the hotel, because there's another puzzle guarding a figurine that we need to do there. And then a ripe apple right there is part of that puzzle. Which is just over here at the end of the hall. Do a dodge right there, because there's a lying figure that can be annoying sometimes. Put these shards in a certain order, which I'll do real quick.
While you're reflecting on yourself, can I give a quick update?
Yeah, sure.
We just opened up a poll to name the characters in Divinity Original Sin. So make sure if you are donating towards that you put in the text of your comments what you want the name to be. Otherwise, we don't know what to put it as. So if you are donating towards that, which I recommend you do, type in !donate, put your donation in, pick the name you want, type it into your comment, and I'll remember every single dollar goes towards Transgender Law Center and their important work.
Alright. Cool, so we have all the figurines. We'll go down here and do this quick puzzle involving the music box. Need to actually open it before we can do that, though. Oh, we don't want to put the dog key in there. That's not what we need. I think I fudged it, actually. Oh, wait. mixing things up. Hmm. Oh. Screw up puzzle a little bit. Hold on. There we go. I just had a brain fart. Basically, you just want to line up these rails so that each of these 3 figurines can get to the little doors in the music box. A pretty simple solution there. We just turn all the keys once to actually activate the music box. That'll give us a key to get to floor 3, or the rest of floor 3, I should say. And that's also where our ending's going to be, because we have the key that we can use to activate the famous dog ending. So we'll do that real quick, and time is when the dog ending starts. So Mary's right there crying for help, but we're not going to help her. We want to see a cute dog. Sorry, Mary, you're kind of left for dead here. And time.
GG.
Yeah, now we get to watch a cute dog.
The dog is hitting buttons. What a good dog.
I know. This cutscene is just really funny with the old James model. Because, like, obviously it's, like, just a skin on James's model. It's not perfect. Like, the hair is a little weird, but it's fine. Also, that part of the cutscene just kills me every time, because it's just a slow swivel. It's so good. And the pop in here, too.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. The sad part about it is that they didn't do the blooper credits for this like they had in the original. It just plays normal credits with the background music from the dog ending, but it's still a pretty good rendition of the cutscene with 2024 graphics. Also, for whatever reason, they locked the cutscenes to 30 FPS. I don't know why. It's really dumb. But that's how this game be, I guess.
It do be like that sometimes. Nerd, where can chat find you?
Yeah, so I stream 3 to 4 times a week at twitch.tv/n3rd_squared. Typically speedruns like this. In fact, I'll be working on some SGQ submissions pretty soon. But mainly speedruns, sometimes challenge runs, and casual playthroughs of different games. Mainly from the horror RPG genres.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us for this run.
Yeah, it's fun doing this in Bellaccio. Transgender Law Center is obviously a pretty good cause for the reasons I outlined earlier, and it's just nice to have them helping out at a time like this, for sure. Yeah,
Agree more.
Yeah, and before we go, I want to give a couple quick shout-outs. I mentioned OnTrigger, who did a lot of the glitch hunting for this game, but also some of the restricted runners, like Red Zorro, Savitru, and Captain Ezekiel did a pretty good run at AGDQ. Recommend you watch that. And also just the Bloober team for making such a good game. Like I mentioned at the start, they kind of blew our expectations out of the water with this remake. So it's just nice to see them come out with a pretty good game.
Absolutely. Any other shout-outs you want to give?
No, I think that's it.
Fantastic. Thank you once again.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.